What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to A Little Dicey. Here on this channel, we usually play Dungeons and Dragons, but tonight, on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a little show called Reroll. This is a place where our moderators, Michaela and Aaron, get together with members of the cast, such as myself. My name is Salvatore. I am the Dungeon Master here at A Little Dicey. And today, I'm so happy to sort of introduce. I mean, we did this last week, but her first time on Reroll. This is Hannah, who is our new player on our channel here in our game. We're just gonna be if you're new and you haven't seen Reroll before. Essentially, we just sort of get together and we talk about the campaign and what's been going on. I do a little bit of a summary of what happened last week, if you missed that, and then we just sort of answer questions from our community and stuff like that. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, ladies, for all being here. So I'm good to kick it off into the recap if you all are.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. When last we met, our intrepid band of adventurers known as the Baird Souls had finally finished their business, so to speak, in the small town of Aberlock in the province of the Blackweld in the kingdom of Naladai. After doing so, they essentially were uh, asked and also nominated by some of the higher ups in the town to attend a rather important meeting at the capital of the kingdom, the capital known as Krunbale, in the kingdom of Naladai. Where many of the other lords and ladies of the realm were going to meet in order to speak with the king, relay some of their own problems, and ask for support here and there, and just sort of so the crown can get a better idea of the lay of their new kingdom, as Naladai is still a freshly united place of living.
Hell yeah.
So they essentially accepted, and they took this not too long of a trip from the town of Aberlock to the capital of Kroonbale, and essentially attended the meeting where many of the lords and ladies were also. However, they did not get to meet the royal family of Naladai. Unfortunately, for some unforeseen reason, the king, queen, and their young son, the prince, were unable to meet and attend this meeting. However, the Prime Minister, Gvern Rhiannon, former headmaster of the Hydreath Academy, the four most renowned magic school and just sort of school in general in the realm, essentially led the meeting himself. And instead of it being some sort of grand Lord's round, it essentially was just a one on one conversation with the Prime Minister in his personal office, this tiny little room in the middle of the castle. Um, very odd circumstances led to a lot of the nobility and the sovereign rulers across the realm to be very confused as to why the proceedings were being held in this manner. But unfortunately, so as to not upset the ruling in charge, no one really pushed their luck about asking about any of that. However, our group, the Baird Souls, did attend this small meeting with the Prime Minister, explained what had happened in the town of Aberlock, and essentially asked for additional aid monetarily and just in general support from the crown. The prime minister heard their story and found it amusing in a sense, and also decided that the crown would be supporting and essentially sponsoring the rebuilding and the reestablishment of the town of Aberlock. After that, he sent the crew on their way, and upon returning to the town of Aberlock, they got to meet Thuisa,
Yeah.
who is this sickly-looking young woman, essentially, a big pair of glasses, and seemingly adept with all manner of alchemical reagents and potions and things of that nature. We don't know too much about her, but I'm very excited for everyone to get to know more about her, including myself.
Yeah.
And Essentially, they met with her as she was introduced by Finrala, their sort of liaison to all the naturopathic sort of parts of the world that they met here in the town of Aberlock. They actually liberated her from the Stone Home, a deep underground prison that was done away with by Kill, our resident freedom fighter. uh, and so Finrala essentially vouched for Thuisa and her her resourcefulness, her usefulness, and essentially brought forth the idea of hopefully all of them conversing about some things that Theresa might be interested in. Uh, all all things considering, the entire group was essentially asked by Finrala to investigate a possible realm rift up in the peaks of the Tempest Mountains, not too far to the north. The Tempest Peaks essentially wreath around the town of Everlock, and essentially are the border of the province of the Blackworld. And so the group decided that they would check this out for their own interest and the interest of the province. They did so and discovered a rather odd scene in which they eventually ended up doing battle with a couple very odd, grotesque-looking fey creatures. And upon doing battle with them, discovering that there, in fact, was a rift to the Fey wilds here in this small pocket in the Tempest Peaks. And that's essentially where we left them off.
Yeah, shit was crazy. I loved it.
Shit was crazy.
Shit was nuts. The fucking like hag person, like we couldn't tell what it was. Fucking shark looking thing.
The shark.
Yeah,
the shark
thing.
I'm sure I had some good descriptions in my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was genuinely terrifying though.
My favorite part about that was Matt becoming increasingly squeamish about the descriptions of the creatures.
Yeah. But also like what, because I think I had posted it in the Discord, but that meme about like naturalists being the first ones to fall for fae tricks and shit, and like Kill was like nah like,
yes.
Which is just Matt being like nah
yeah, because Matt's just hilarious.
Yeah, where Kill definitely would have been like, oh, touch it.
Oh, for
touch
sure.
it.
For sure.
I love it. Also everyone say hi to Extra there in the chat.
Extra.
What?
Oh, Extra.
What's
Good
good?
to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me shut my door.
Oh, do you think? Yeah, very good.
Oh, cool chair.
Oh, dude.
Sorry.
I
Hey,
love
I'm
it.
back.
Hello. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, Extra, you might have not been here. You were like later, I think, last week. But if you have questions, go ahead and drop them. I can start with Garrett's questions because, as always, that man got questions.
Word.
And they are.
We always have questions.
You do, and they're good. But these are for Hannah. So the first question, pretty easy, a little softball for you. How does it feel hopping into the campaign already 30 episodes in?
It's a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest, because it's really interesting to like hop into this world with these really established characters. Because I mean, we did a little bit of like we did a little bit of a thing before to kind of help me get used to my character with our players here, but they were playing new characters as well, so it was kind of a like, I don't want to say like whiplash, but to go from that where I'm still just trying to get comfortable to like, oh my gosh, these guys, they know who they are and they're very strong and very opinionated, which is interesting to Theresa because she's a little bit meek and doesn't know how to interact with them yet. So that was really cool, honestly.
I can imagine, yeah. I feel like you from the jump you've like fit in so nicely though too. Even with just the little one shots that we were doing, like your chemistry is really good. And then I just love like Theresa's, like, already I love where she's coming in, and also just like how she's been with the boys. Like it's a nice, very, very good addition for sure.
It's a good foil, kind of, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's literally the word that I thought. Also, like,
which
that's
is crazy because I didn't really have that in mind when I made her. So
it just
kind of worked.
It's the way of the game too. Like once you start playing, you just kind of fall into this thing, and then it just becomes its own. I think every player could probably attest in this game that like it's not how they intended the character to be exactly, but it's how it's ended, and it's all been really good. So yeah. But yeah,
I feel like that's how things often go with new characters, is you give yourself like a basic framework and then just let it kind of roll out from there.
Ooh, Fandom has a really good little comment. Fandom said, I'm heavily biased, but I thought that I heard the Prime Minister say that Sorsha would be heading to Aberlock as well, and I was wondering if I heard that right. Do you think we might get to see her fight alongside the party?
You did hear that right.
Yeah.
So I have to adjust my headset once again.
Do you think?
You did hear that right. Mm-hmm. And I anticipate that we will eventually see Sorsha fight alongside the Baird Souls. Mm-hmm. I was playing around with bringing Sorsha along for the previous session because she was introduced 2 sessions ago.
Yeah.
And I really love her. I've written a lot for that particular NPC, almost as much as I've written for your NPC, Aaron. But I don't know if it'll ever come up, considering the circumstances of what the party did to her, which is crazy. Anyway, so
tough. So tough.
But to answer your question, Fandom, yes, the Prime Minister did say that. Mm-hmm. However, I decided to. Sorry, there was a noise. I decided to have that sort of happen a little further down the line, for a couple just maintenance reasons. Number one, because I didn't want to inundate the party with more than like Dicey being introduced, essentially. Mm-hmm. And actually, another really, I can't say more than this, but we have we possibly have another very fun person that's going to be joining us just sort of for a single session relatively soon. Yeah. And originally this was sort of back when Hannah and I were trying to figure out like when would be best to bring her in, or like how we could do that, or just sort of timelines and stuff. Mm-hmm. And originally last week was the date that I had planned for this other guest as well. And then I was like, hey, like we're bringing Hannah in. I don't want to like do all this stuff. And then I was like, fuck, I even have. So like originally I was going to have 3 new characters that were like all supposed to be around. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I don't want to inundate the game with all of that. Mm-hmm. So rescheduled with the guest, which I'm very, very excited about. Mm-hmm. We'll be doing announcements relatively soon. I'm in the process of still developing. We're developing their character and stuff right now.
So cool.
But with Sorsha in particular, yes, I have a feeling that we will likely see her. Should the party decide to make a venture into the Feywild, knowing them, I think that they're probably very curious to go do that. Mm-hmm. So my guess is that we will see her when they return, if they do ever return, mm-hmm. Or within the coming days or so. At the moment, Sorsha, who is working under the minister, Urias, they're doing a little bit of research right now. Very so once that research is complete, then she will head over as a envoy of that minister.
Mm-hmm. Phantom, your character, like, yeah, it was like perfect timing, but also like just hectic timing also. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where that character goes too. Yeah. It's been awesome, like how the like PC redemption, which was supposed to just be like a fun, like it is fun. Like let me.
We also here's the thing, but I have to interrupt you because I don't know. I feel like should we text the boys and be like, don't watch Reroll?
Yes.
Because there are things that we probably will have to talk about that I don't want them to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I was about to say something, and then I was like, fuck, like
they don't know that.
I don't want, especially Garrett, because Garrett cares about the answers to these questions, and I'm like, I don't want you to know this shit.
Yeah. Well, I can always, I'll just fill him in. But yeah,
true.
Chat
just be like, so, and I know Matt's not fucking watching right now. So
Matt,
if anybody has to be worried about Jamie, but I also kind of feel like Jamie won't remember because Jamie didn't even figure out the other thing that we haven't really let Chat know, which is hilarious.
I love it.
Anyways, all I'll say is that Fandom, I'm excited to integrate your NPC in hopefully some of the same, not the same way, but you know what I mean, in some of the same ways that I've heavily integrated. I believe it was Extra's PC.
I think so. Yeah.
Previously, so it's cool that you're both here. Actually, I don't know if you caught the stream last week, but there may or may not have been a cool little feature with your your specific NPC from a few months ago.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, like, so I was just gonna say that, like, it's funny how these, like, we thought they were just gonna be, like, nonsense characters, like, people would just throw in whatever.
Some of them
and
were.
Like, some of them were, that's true. But,
Careful.
like, not Avra. Avra was
You're
an
talking
angel.
I wrote a lot for Avra. I wrote a lot for Avra. Yote was ill too.
Yote was ill.
Yote for sure.
Yote the goat, always.
Who was the very first one was like that dwarf, right?
I think so.
Yep. It starts with a D.
Yeah, don't remember. I played him super Scottish, and he worked for the he worked in Eodra. That's right.
He's on the wiki.
Yeah,
he is on the wiki,
and he was perfect. But yeah, I just love that like they've become such a part of the game too. So very cool and very like just a fun little treat you guys can go back to at some point and like you know you'll be like that was my fucking that's my character. I made
also less work for me.
Also less work for Sal. So yeah, lazy
Chad
bum.
just figures my job out. Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, what part were you gonna say that involves stuff that they can't know?
Well, just because I mean, I sort of just alluded to it as vaguely as I could, but since I mean, whatever, we put the bat signal out, it'll just be like, don't watch this portion. But essentially, when I had first introduced Louisa to the stream itself, and I had them removed from the table and removed from the studio, that interaction, I mean, we know by the end of it because he says his name.
Yeah.
But that's Inquisitor Talil.
Yeah.
And Talil is a created NPC from chat.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
And originally, so I had a whole thing with the Academy and stuff, sort of as like a like sort of written already, but I didn't want to focus heavily on the Academy as a plot thread because we sort of did a lot of that last campaign, and there are still like a lot of similarities between the first few arcs in this campaign and in the last campaign as well. You know, they're liberating a town, which is sort of what they did last campaign as well, but it's a little bit different. I only wanted to revisit that because I just figured I'd learned a lot more.
Yeah.
And I liked that presentation, and so we did that. But I really didn't want to focus on the next arc being like, all right, like they're dealing with the High Wraith Academy or whatever. But I had always had this thing because I always thought it was really interesting to explore Jamie's character because we didn't really get a good chance to do that last campaign because Jamie was in and out. And then we ended up establishing a different character for Jamie by the end of last campaign rather than going with Indigo. So when he said that he wanted to play Indigo for this campaign, I thought that was wonderful. I thought that was a great idea. And there were things that I wanted to explore with that character anyways. So I had a bunch of things written for the High Wraith Academy, but I hadn't really really designated like, all right, so which character is going which. But there are a whole bunch of new Inquisitors and stuff that weren't Inquisitors last campaign. And some, like, obviously the headmaster is the prime minister now, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so a lot has changed at the Academy. And so I just had like fill-in slots for some of the Inquisitors because I was like, all right, this Inquisitor is different, this one's different, whatever.
Right.
And I knew one of the new ones was going to be like that sort of, you know, Snape-like figure or whatever, where, you know, we don't really know the morality of their motives and stuff or whatever. And it just so happened that Extra had created an NPC that really fit the bill for who I wanted that NPC to be.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck, I guess I don't have to do any more work on this, so this is good. And so I just sort of took that and ran with it. And that's what can happen, you know what I mean? You mean Talil was there? Yes. I may or may not have looked at my notes to remember the NPC's name. LMAO. Yeah. No, hey man, I don't blame you. I fucking forget names all the time. But yeah, so Talil Extra was or is Thuisa's, I mean, for lack of a better term, not mechanically, but Thuisa's like kind of patron at the moment. Thuisa established this working relationship with them after he approached her, and is a big reason how they came into contact with the Bared Souls.
It's so sick.
Can I just say
Duncan.
he's very intimidating too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talil is he's a lot. Also, yes, Aaron, Duncan. I do remember now. Yes, Duncan.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Duncan. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew I recognized the name too because I was like trying to guess in chat. I mean, you had said like it was a hooded figure, and then I was like, wait, is this the same the like Hand of Hell's person? And then like you dropped his name, and I was like, oh my fucking god! Like,
Well,
I'm the only one.
some people also thought it was Ibrahim because they do have a similar voice.
Yeah, true.
They have a very similar voice.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, which is what I was going for. Until I wanted to get the swerve at the end because I didn't think anybody would think it might be Talil until he says it. So
yeah, that's dope. That's fucking dope.
Hell yeah.
And then we'll go with the second question from Garrett. What is the inspiration for Thuisa?
Well, I've always kind of going for a hedge witch. The real inspiration. I didn't know I was going to talk about this. So there's a book by Gail Carson Levine. Not really sure. She wrote the El Enchanted book. There's one called Two Princesses of Bamar.
The Two Princesses of Bamar?
I don't want to talk about it too much because it's kind of not something she's talked about yet in her backstory.
Yeah,
but we'll just say that's like one of my absolute favorites. My sister will be mad at me if I didn't say it's also like her favorite book.
Oh my gosh!
So she's a little based on some of the themes in that book. I kind of also based her on the fact that sometimes when I'm nervous, I get a little bit of a stutter. I'm like, let's just lean into that. You know,
I love it.
Let's have a character that naturally has that, because then I don't have to worry.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then now it's like a if you know type thing.
Yeah, if you know, you might know. Well, you'll know when. If you know, you'll know when it comes out. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's very roundabout, but
I love that. It's still. I mean, I love. It's like touching to have like a character that you're inspired by.
I think that's a good thing, especially like with the new characters. I like to find a character that I've really
bonded with,
connected
almost.
with.
Yeah.
And like, in the end, once you've gone through like trying the character out and writing story and going through their abilities and trying to make it all mesh, you probably don't have anything that always looks similar to the inspiration, but it's good. It's right there at the core.
Yeah,
which is nice.
That's amazing. Oh, I love that. I have one more question from Garrett, but I don't know. I'm gonna open the floor to you guys if you have any like discuss.
Well, I was gonna say before we get to the last question from Garrett, we could take a look at Extra's question that he just posted into the Discord. Essentially, he asks, he hasn't been watching the streams of VODs for a minute, so have any of the PCs sort of changed in the sense of like, either for the better or for the worse? And so I'm actually very interested to know what you two might think, Michaela or Aaron, because I can tell you, Extra, I don't know when was the last time you caught our stream, but I will say over this arc, there have been 2 alignment changes, and that's only based on my ruling. The players have no control over, like, I mean, the players control what they do, and they might have an idea of what their character's alignment is, but as a lot of people know, you might think you are something, but your actions might say otherwise, of course. And so I would hazard to guess that if we were to ask the players, with the exception of Hannah, since Luis has only been a part of like essentially really just half a session with the team, I would bet money that my alignment for the characters, which are their true alignments for the sake of mechanics or whatever, would be different from 2 out of the 3 players.
He's told that to them before too. I love the little identity crisis that they all had when you were like, "No, you're not what you think you are," and they're like, "What?"
Yeah, no, it's always very interesting, because I'll give you a perfect example. Not well, actually, yeah, of an alignment change, sure, but just as a completely different character direction. In the very first campaign, Jenna's original character, which was also her very first Dungeons and Dragons character game, anything, she approached me with an idea for Taj, who is a rogue, that is sort of your quintessential. Yeah, well, basically, she approached me and was like, "Hey, I have this character. Their name is Taj." And when she explained them to me, not their backstories aren't the same, but their attitudes. She basically was just like, "I'm gonna play Kaz before Kaz was Kaz." And however, that's not at all like 2 sessions in, and she couldn't help but be herself, which is obviously not even close to being,
she's an angel.
Kaz at all. Jenna's an angel.
Yeah.
And so Jenna couldn't help but essentially play this very emotionally, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not empathetic and emotionally driven, really connected character, with all of this like hesitation about like killing or hurting people or whatever. And the character that she presented to me with was not that at all. And so, in the maybe first or second session, her idea of the character was completely different. And as a new player, that can change relatively quickly. But pretty much everyone in the game right now has been playing for a while, right? If they haven't been playing before they played with me, then they've at least been playing for 2 years, right? Because we played that first campaign for like a year and a half,
at least,
whatever.
Yeah.
And so it takes a little longer for less than newer players to have those types of changes. But it's also, I don't fault anyone for it. I think that changing is very interesting and way cooler than just being like, this is my character and I'm only going to play this character and how they are, no matter what no matter what instance presents itself. But I'll tell you, the two characters, it's very funny because the ideas that were brought to me are still very similar to how they're being played. However, I remember thinking like, oh, this will be, because when these things are brought to you as a dungeon master, I don't know, Aaron, if you can attest to this, but when these characters are brought to you and you're sort of coming up with your story, obviously you want to integrate backstory. But personally, the biggest thing for me is that no matter what things I present my players with, I want to challenge who the characters are, right? Not to like force them into change, but just to give them enough of a challenge, both mechanically and narratively, that they have to go like, fuck, how would my character, if I'm actually playing this person, and they're a very unique, very specific person with like a very specific set of whatever values and stuff, how are they actually going to react to these things? And when you get in the thick of it and it's fucking improv, and like you haven't really, and I don't suggest that you think about these things. I suggest you just think about who the person is, and then when the opportunity happens, then you just react authentically. When you do that, it's improv. So like there's no script to follow, there's nothing, you know what I mean? You just fucking do it. And then a lot of times it's hard to separate yourself from it too, which is great. I love that. That's the most beautiful part of the game. And so when these authentic reactions happen, when the improv really happens, and when it boils down to it, it's like, oh, and then if that happens subsequently a couple times where like the reactions are like leaning more towards this side of the alignment chart or that side of the alignment chart or down the middle or what have you, then it's like, okay, well now I as a dungeon master have to go, okay, well if I'm going to be presenting them with certain things later on later down the line, who are these people? The players know how to bring them to life, but I have to know where they fit in the story. Right? The players do not have to figure out where they are. They only have to know who they are, which is also a tough question to answer. But I have to figure out, well, yes, they're this person, but how the fuck do we, make a story? How do we play a game with them? Right?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, not to talk ad nauseum, but like I said, there are 2 characters out of the 3 so far that have changed their alignment.
That's awesome. Yeah. I like Extra who said that's sick as shit. I've never seen that happen at a D&D campaign before. And
yeah, it's I think it's rare. I think I don't know, in the other streams that I found, I don't think alignment is talked about a lot. I think there was one time maybe in campaign 1 of Critical Role that I remember in a very high level item or something like that towards the end of the campaign. I don't remember if it was brought up by the Deck of Many Things or something when Grog found it. There might have been another situation, but I believe there was something where something was brought up and like only a certain aligned character could it might have been with one of like the boons that they had to get from the gods to like defeat Vecna or something. But it was like only a certain aligned character could do this, and I think that out of like all of them, like it was like Pike and like Vex who were like, oh yeah, we're actually like good people. I mean, or Keela too, or something like that. But like everyone else was like, I don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
And so like it's super rare. And then the entirety of campaign 2, like it was never brought up. Everything that I've watched with campaign 3, it's never been brought up. Anything that I've ever watched with like Dimension 20 or anything else, like I never hear it being talked about mechanically or for it to be a reason to talk about. And I just think it's a cool part of the game.
I think so too.
And it's a huge meme online now too.
I think that's a cool part of the game coming in this, being new to this game. This is something I didn't necessarily know about your DM style, but I think that's a really cool part, is sort of like this hidden alignment that's based on your actions.
Yeah.
The thing about alignment that's always got me is it just feels like I don't want to take this chart and have it decide what my actions are. The character's going to decide what my actions are.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And as a character, they can think whatever they want about themselves, but I do love that sort of background as a DM. Yeah, but actually, I think you're more this.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I was going to say...
I also have always...
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, like, because I thought I don't want it... Yeah, it's like, don't chalk it up as, like, a failure on the part of the players ever, which I appreciate. Like, it really is more human to be, like, a changing being,
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah. Like, that's something to appreciate. I don't know. But, sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I also, like, I feel like people don't, like, really pay attention to alignments either. Like, they don't like keep it in mind and allow it to like really affect the way that they play. Like, I once had a player who was playing a lawful evil character, and what that meant was more or less like she abided so strongly by her own moral code, but it was a very selfish moral code. And so like in the scheme of like how she would have been perceived by others, that comes off as looking a lot more evil. But I do think that I do appreciate that it is a part of the game that you have like brought attention to, because I do feel like it gets ignored a lot of times.
Yeah.
And often because people, I think, are just really scared of it. They're scared of alignment. And so everyone's always like, I'm a neutral good. I'm a chaotic neutral.
I think people, they feel hemmed in by it sometimes.
Yeah, I don't ever want it to serve as a hindrance to how my players should roleplay. However, I just think it's more exciting than I really have always hated the idea of like, player presents character to DM, player says my character is lawful good, DM says cool, game plays, character makes a choice that's not lawful good. Then DM outwardly expresses either, hey, that's not lawful good, or B, they outwardly say, oh, well, you are now chaotic neutral or something, or whatever, because you're not. And it's like, I don't know, like if you're a DM, or if you're someone who wants to DM and you like my play style and like the kind of stuff that we do on the stream, I would highly suggest to you, like, there are things that you never have to tell the players. You don't have to tell them fucking shit, dude. Like, you make
Sal actively doesn't, so
actively don't. Seriously, and the only thing you have to, your only job is to make sure that they're having a good time, and that's really it, right? That's your only job. in my opinion. Like if you're DMing and everyone's happy, you know, whether that is because they're being challenged or because they're winning or because they get to think or because they're really good role play or because you don't do any role play and you only do combat, like as long as your players are happy, then it's all gravy.
Mm-hmm.
I know that my players appreciate a specific thing that I also happen to appreciate. And so I know the more that I withhold from them in terms of, you know, how the world reacts to them and how they, you know, how they interface with the world, and why it's more interesting for them to discover rather than simply me expositing things to them.
Mm-hmm.
I've always found it that the more I keep from them, either the more curious they become or just the more my favorite thing is when, you know, they like their fucking faces light up when like some new shit happens, you know what I mean, or like when something is finally revealed. That's always super exciting to me. So just, you know, hold back, you know what I mean, like don't hold back in terms of like, you know, really like giving it to them, but like hold back in terms of let them discover, you know, it's a huge thing.
Yeah. Whoa. Fandom. So Fandom said, I will probably be DMing for the first time in a short while. First with a one-shot, then with an actual campaign.
Word.
The main thing I'm having trouble with are encounters. Since there aren't really henchmen that the party can just mow down, how do you set up encounters for the party so that they can actually battle and use their abilities without the people they're battling being too important for future stories or enemies? Yeah, just being the equivalent of faceless goons. So I don't know, is that a good podcast question or like
that is a great podcast question.
Yeah.
I will give you a very and then Aaron of course attests this as well.
Yeah.
But I'll give you a very truncated version of what I could truly spend hours talking about. I spend a lot of time trying my best to balance encounters with the Bared Souls. Sometimes I miss things, sometimes I overtune them, and I have to adjust mid-fight. These are the questions that I suggest you ask yourself when you're building the encounter. Actually, first before that, just to let you know, challenge ratings are bullshit. Like most of the time, completely useless. Sometimes makes a little bit of sense. Most of the time, they are completely useless. Just find. Yes. I would highly recommend. Matt Colville did a running the game episode specifically on encounters and like balancing a proper CR or like just essentially changing a monster into what you want it to be. The stat lines for monsters in the monster manual and other things that Wizards of the Coast has created are always cool and they're fun. You could take literally like a CR12 monster and just retune it to be CR, quote unquote CR4, and just like use certain things to just reduce the damage and stuff. So like that can get super complicated and take a lot of time. But really the only things you want to ask yourself in these encounters are, do I want the party to win? Right? That's the biggest question. First, do you want the party to win? 99 times out of 10, the answer is yes. So great. You've established that you want the party to win. Now, number two, why do you want the party to win? Do you want the party to win because it's cathartic? Do you want the party to win because you want to reward them? Do you want the party to win to establish something happening in the story? Those are usually the three questions that I ask myself, right? And then lastly, how hard do you want them to fight for it? I love every once in a while just giving them a fucking freebie. It makes them feel great. You're going through and you're like, fuck, it's been hard. Matt Colville coined this phrase in one of his videos, but just orcs attack, dude. That's all you need. If your players are like maybe they're struggling a little bit, fucking orcs attack. Let them beat the fuck out of those orcs, dude. Like, and then they're just super happy. Then they're just happy. These orcs could do jack shit to them. Maybe, and like, fucking, I generally don't advise this. I like to let the dice fall where they may. But if you really just want to give them like a little bit of a pick me up, just fucking like shoot from the fucking hip, dude. Orcs attack, they're killing them. Let one of them take a hit. Just be like, oh, that's a fucking natural 20. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna have like a Michaela behind the screen watching you. You know what I mean? Where like, you know, they'll keep you honest.
Like, what the
you
fuck?
can just fucking give them what they want, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you can just give them what they want. No one's recording you. You're not doing it live for anybody. That's the biggest thing. So encounters, I could literally talk about this for hours, and I will bring this up with Matt. But specifically for what you're asking, just play it for how you want the players to feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think that 3 rounds was way too short for this big boss fight, give them more health in the middle of the round. Like, say they're looking rough. I do this all the time. I literally do this all the time. Where I'm pretty sure I did this in the Thorn fight. I like looked down at my thing and I was like, holy fuck, they are nuking him. And I was just like, just turn the fucking health right back up. I was like,
literally,
need them to try a little bit harder here. And so just do that. You know what I mean? Like, play it by ear. And that will take you a long time to figure out. I've been DMing for 7 years. When I first started DMing, I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I just wanted to be Matt Mercer, and I mean, I learned along the way. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I will basically say very similarly, you want to figure out what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Like, I know for a fact that for the most part, like when I have been DMing, my players do not really care about combat. They don't actually want to do combat. So for the most part, I didn't run a lot of combat. However, I will say that, like, genuinely, that little tip that Sal threw in there is the single greatest tip that any DM could ever have, and that is, you don't have to fudge your rolls. You don't have to change anything. Adjust the health of what they are fighting.
It's always just the health.
There has never been a single, like, I ran an entire campaign on stream. There was never a single, like, major fight where I didn't adjust health.
You have to.
That is the number one easiest way to balance your encounters. Is you should have an idea, like, okay, they're all level 1s. This should probably take, like, maybe 3 rounds. It's not going to be crazy. They're level 12. This should be like an hour to 2 hour fight at this point. Like, so you know, like, how hard it has to be just based on, and at the same time, if you thought that you did it a good job and you got this, like, spot on, and all of a sudden almost all your PCs are down, oh no, maybe, actually, no, I'm so sorry, I misread it. He's bloodied. You guys did a great job. He's actually on death's door. Good, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
You did amazing.
Just fudge it.
But, yeah, if you, like, in terms of, like, faceless goons and stuff, it really depends on, like, what you're doing, because, like, think of it just, like, in the real world. Like, there are bank robbers, there are highwaymen, there are, like, so many, like, small things.
There are white-collar criminals.
White-collar criminals.
Like, you see somebody and, like, they're out there, I don't even know, committing tax fraud. You see somebody lighting his own building on fire
so
that he can get the insurance money.
You fucking stab him. That's right.
But you'll get the vibe of it, and, like, honestly, if your, like, players are starting to get a little bit, like, stab happy, just throw a real shitty NPC at them. Just a real shit heel of a dude who just fucking sucks, and let them kill him. And they'll be so thrilled. Yeah.
If that's my favorite thing, is I love introducing antagonists in twos, if you guys haven't picked that up. Where one of them is bad, but, like, you kind of get it, and the other one sucks, and so they're super charged up about the dude who fucking sucks, but really the guy that they really have to worry about is the one who's, like, kind of fine. And it always makes for, like, a really fun thing, you know what I mean? Like, Desmua, like, their tragic backstory and everything, but, like, Desmua was, like, actively, like, killing people and, like, doing things. And then there's Gores, and Gores is the real shithead, and
they befriended him.
Let's go! And I was like, yes, dude. I was so happy. It was so fucking funny to me. Oh man, it was great.
God, fucking these men. Swear to God.
Oh, the best.
You will get the hang of it. 100%.
Yes.
DMing comes with time.
Holy fuck,
I've been playing for over 10 years by the time I started DMing. Oh my good fucking God, was I an absolute disaster at the beginning.
Yeah, same, dude. Like, I had no idea what I was doing.
I'm sorry, you're gonna do a bad job the first time. But you stick with it, and you just try your best to make sure people have fun.
Yeah.
you just keep making sure people have fun, and you just keep fucking going, and you will get there.
Yeah.
It will be hard, but you will get there.
Yeah, and in time you'll. I mean, if you're like me, there are times where I'm really happy with how the encounters turn out. Because I do a lot of time, like I legitimately like I look through my player's inventory, I look through their available spells, I look through I look through like their average damage, I look through their I look through the monster's average rolls to hit, I look at their ACs and stuff, all this different shit, right? And then I have the benefit of we record our sessions, obviously, so I get to rewatch and see what the more common choices that my players make are. So like I spend time doing that. So there are encounters where sometimes I prepare an encounter and then halfway through I'm like, fuck, like I am hitting them way too hard right now. Like not way too hard, but in the sense of like I know too much that this like monster would have no fucking idea about. And like I was like, all right, I gotta draw back a little bit. So you'll get to a point where encounter building will be fun to like theory craft on, which is what I like to do. But when you first start, it's tough. I do see Extra through something in chat. I'll say, Extra, redeem your NPC whenever the fuck you want, dude. I don't give a fuck.
Honestly,
I just knew on my end I didn't want to introduce I didn't want to be the one introducing 3 new NPCs at once.
He said, not
which
me,
is
though.
also why I limited the create an NPC to 1 per stream. Anybody can do it, but only 1 person per stream can redeem an NPC. Just because, like, I love the first idea where like 5 people redeemed an NPC at once, and then we had like a party, which was cool. That was really fun. But I mean, you all know that like I literally told Michaela to tell you guys to like, hey, can you just wait until like an opportune time to do this so that I'm not like inundated with 5 of them?
It takes some planning, but
do it whenever you want. Extra. It could be in the middle of anything. I don't give a fuck. That's the whole point.
Tomorrow, brother. Hey. Get it.
Yeah.
I have like 12,000 points, and I've just been like, I will say that like in the back of my brain, I am constantly just thinking about like, how can I bring Avra back?
Yeah.
How can I resurrect my love? I just missed my girl, and I was so happy, and I thought about her for so long, and then they're just like, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, they did that. Crazy that they did that. That's nuts.
Yeah.
just committed a straight ass murder of my poor girl. It's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah. Oh, good lord.
So and then I think also Garrett had another. Yeah. Garrett had one from you, Michaela, and then 1 thrown in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see.
He was responding to Extra. I see.
Got you. Yeah. So. Cool. I'll actually change up the last question to be more of a wrap up anyway. But what I will ask it, what is your hope for Thuisa moving forward in this story?
I hope she finds herself, because she is a little bit of a lost soul. So I hope she finds herself, and I hope she finds her confidence.
Yeah, me too, bro.
That's what I'm looking for.
Damn.
We'll
help me find my confidence.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's awesome. And also, you can grow through your character as well, which is great. Oh,
yeah.
Like, always
That's the whole
fun.
Point, baby. That's why I love this game.
That's therapy, baby.
That's therapy, baby.
Oh, yeah. Extra also 25.5k points. Wow.
Extra. Get on the live stream.
Stop hoarding.
Back to the world, you animal.
Extra just is the DM now.
I think so.
Extra redeems 25,000, and I DM for this session.
It's my game now. I would love that. Oh my goodness.
More, I just keep getting so damn tired that I'm like, 4 hours of D&D. Actually, I'm going to just sleep on the floor. I think.
It's fair. What were you
gonna just have a month that I can take off work to just
catch up,
stream the whole thing.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yep. You're at a good time to do it. New arc.
I know.
So.
Real quick before we head off, Extra, DM me on Discord your Master Duel
oh yeah
friend tag or whatever, and then we will duel each other. I promise.
Yeah. Oh my god, fandom, you too. Please stop hoarding your points.
Jesus Christ.
Just
I
drop
love both
them.
of you. love it.
Go nuts.
I'll have to start
Get
lifting
party
the.
drunk.
Yeah.
Also that I'll have to start lifting the caps on some redemptions just so to incentivize you guys just spending all of them.
Yeah, go nuts. Why not?
We need to run some more just like fun little
one shots
like
yeah.
during the months.
Yeah.
And just like to let people just go absolutely chaos.
Yeah.
For sure.
I would love that.
5,000 points an orc right now.
I love it.
Bring back spooky noise.
Yeah, spooky noise.
I'll bring back spooky noise.
Hell yeah.
I'll do it. It'll be fine. I'll bring back spooky noise, and then we're gonna get Michaela a soundboard, and then they don't have to say anything for me. They just spooky noise happen, and then you just pick a soundboard spooky noise and just smack it down, and then I have to react accordingly.
I'm just loving a soundboard of Sal's spooky noises.
Yep.
I'll record them for sure, and then we'll put it on the soundboard. That's good.
That is everything I've ever wanted.
Oh my god. I think so. That's amazing, guys.
We'll figure it out. We'll work on it.
All right, yeah. Awesome. So yeah, if you guys are new, I doubt it, but yeah, tomorrow is our normal D&D stream. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. No, my god. Tonight was 8 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And whatever other...
It's at 4 p.m.
There you go.
Mountain Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and if you are B-Monk and B-Monk only, it is at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. No one else lives in that fucking
Nobody
time
does.
Amazing.
Word up.
Hell yeah. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And I'll...
Here, guys. It's just to tell you time zones.
I love it. Thank you, Aaron. I'm going to drop a big-ass raffle, so stay tuned for the last, 10 seconds of the thing. But we'll see you tomorrow, guys. And
peace out, y'all.
Bye.